So with respect to EIDL loans, they are dischargeable in a bankruptcy. There's no special provision in the bankruptcy code that says they're not dischargeable in a bankruptcy. The trouble is that whenever there's a big bunch of money somewhere, now I'm not saying the EIDL loan you got was a big bunch of money. It might have been pretty small. Oh, quick disclaimer, of course, I'm an attorney. I'm not your attorney. This is not legal advice. It's not financial advice. Might help your golf game, but I don't golf. Okay, EIDL loans. They can be discharged in bankruptcy, but the trouble is that whenever there's a bunch of money somewhere, a bankruptcy trustee's job is to figure out where'd it go? Is there any of it left? And that's the main question, is there any of it left? And maybe that's the trouble. From bankruptcy trustee's point of view, he or she has to figure out, they're a little bit like an underwriter trying to give a loan to you. So if an underwriter trying to give a loan to you has to look at all kinds of documentation and figure out if everything is good to go, it's basically the same kind of thing. So your bankruptcy trustee is going to want to see all kinds of bank statements and from the time that you receive the money. So if you, say, got $30,000 in July of 2021, well, that's 2 years ago, $30,000 probably got spent. Well, guess what? Probably is not gonna probably be good enough, but if it was, then it's probably going to show up in your bank statements anyway. Most of us just use a debit card for almost everything we do nowadays. So it should show up, right? Depending on what you do with it. Now, if you were a shrewd investor and 2 years ago you took the 30 grand and you put it into something really good and you've been able to manipulate things and shift things back and forth, and now you've got a bunch of money hidden away somewhere and you've got a big stockpile, that's kind of going to show too, because the 30 grand won't have shown that it was spent. However, more likely, and what happened, I'm sure, to a ton of us, somebody looked up and said, well, we live on about 50 grand a year if we're really scrimping tight and saving. And for some reason, they gave me 150. Well, I don't know why. But if 2 years ago you got 150 grand, where is it now? And I bet there's a good probability that 50 was spent on living expenses and another 50 got put into stocks, which might be worth somewhere between 20 and 40 by now, depending on which ones you got. And maybe the other 50 got put into crypto. That could be worth 5 by now. Maybe 10. If you're a shrewd trader, it could be a little bit better off, but both of those markets took huge baths last year. They just got hammered. So if that's where your money went, then a bankruptcy trustee is gonna want to see it. You have to prove it. So if someone in the stock market and someone in the crypto market, it could be you're going to have to pony up some of that. In California, if you own a home, there's really no way to simply protect investments. Now, of course, you have to talk to a California attorney about this, and I am not licensed anywhere out of California. So if you're anywhere out of California, of course, you must talk to an attorney in your neighborhood, state, county, city. But they're going to want to know, no matter where you are, where'd the money go? It's important because if there's anything left over that a bankruptcy trustee can take away from you and liquidate and pay to your creditors, that's his job. That's what he's paid to do by the government. Take things away from people and pay the creditors. Well, and it's not so bad. You got the money, you got to spend it. You borrowed money on credit cards and whatever else, and you'll be getting rid of all that stuff. So it's not so bad if you have some stocks or crypto left over that you have to turn over. If you put a bunch of it into gold or silver or something fun, you might even still have that. And it's probably still worth pretty close to what you bought it for, roughly speaking. And that's something you got to disclose. Interestingly, in California, though, if you own a house, you can still protect up to about $9,000 in jewelry and heirlooms. If you recently just bought gold, bullion, that's not going to count as jewelry or heirlooms. But if what you did was you actually bought jewelry, and you can protect a significant amount of it. Not $200,000 worth, obviously. It's much lower. But if you don't own a home in California, you do still have a kind of a wild card homestead that's worth around $30-ish, $1,000 or so, a little bit more. I don't really keep up with the exact number because my software does. Anyway, so there's this homestead that you can use as a wild card to protect anything that you want. So if you put a good bit of money into crypto and it absolutely tanked 90% and you filed a bankruptcy, then your dischargeable debt, the EIDL loan, could be discharged in the bankruptcy, and the equity left over in the crypto, as it currently stands, could possibly be protected in the bankruptcy up to around $30-ish thousand. I don't know. Depends on how much you got. Depends on what else you've got. Usually the wild card provision is something that you're going to be using to protect quite a few things. Maybe you paid off your car. You get about a $7,500 protection for the car. What if you paid off both cars? Your car, spouse's car. What if they're both worth $15,000 each? That's $30,000. You can only protect $7,500 using the car provision. $30,000 minus $7,500 means that's still quite a bit of car that could be protected by the homestead protection. And now let's say you've still got a bunch, $20,000 in crypto. Well, you're only going to protect about $7,000 of that. If what you did was you put the crypto into Kraken or Voyager, some crypto exchange that went bankrupt, whoops, that's pretty much gone. Ain't coming back. You maybe put it into a scam, and it's gone. It ain't coming back. You bought stock in a company that also went bankrupt. You don't have to worry about protecting a stock in a company that went bankrupt. There's no value there. You're only worried about the equity that you have to protect. And it's really crazy how much some of those things really, really went up during 2021. Meme stocks on Reddit and that kind of thing. Maybe you tossed a bunch of money into AMC and now you're down 80% or however much you're down. I don't know. But the things that the trustee is also going to be looking for is, did a whole bunch of cash come out of the bank accounts and there's no accounting for where the cash went? Because that kind of sounds like maybe it's under your bed in a coffee can. Maybe it's in your safe in the form of little gold coins or big ones. Maybe it got shifted into some sort of crypto and then sent off to some sort of a wallet and then sent to a hard wallet. And basically you have to be able to have kept the records to show where all this stuff went, because you do want the discharge. If you don't have adequate records, maybe you don't get a discharge, because maybe you don't have the adequate records because you don't actually want to show where the money went. But don't mess around with that kind of stuff, because frankly, prison. You don't want to go to prison. So in real estate, it's all location. In bankruptcy, it's disclose. You say everything. Wherever anything went, you tell them. Because if you don't, if you get caught pulling that crap, you deserve whatever they give you. And if you simply made bad investments and they all went sour and there's hardly anything left, and you spent a bunch on living expenses, that's going to show. That's actually not that hard to prove. So anyway, that about wraps it up for EIDL loans. Oh, there is another subject in EIDL loans to talk about, the UCC1 liens. There are quite a few of those out there on people's business assets that they owned at the time that they received the EIDL loan. If the business went belly up and there are no assets left, that's really probably not going to be a big deal unless you're a sole proprietor. If you're a sole proprietor, those liens could be against your personal property. So you'll need to read those carefully with your bankruptcy attorney to figure out exactly what's in jeopardy and what's not. Most of them don't specifically say that they reach your real estate. So the UCC1 financing statements for most of the EIDL loans don't attach to your real estate, and that's really good news. So if they don't, it's just a matter of ponying up the personal property if they ask. Well, you'll need to talk to an attorney. And so call one in your area and good luck. Be honest. Disclose. Otherwise, prison.